Whether he's going to be your governor or your vice president, who the hell knows?
I told him quite directly that I thought that he had a choice between having two pirates on the ticket or having a pirate and a relatively stable, more normal person.
Newt Gingrich calling himself one of the pirates. 6:51 here, Big 550 KTRS. All right, Brad Melke, ABC News correspondent. You're working overtime. Let's first get with this. They have delayed the announcement because of what's going on in southern France?
Yeah, that's right. Donald Trump was all slated to announce Mike Pence as his running mate today. We know from campaign sources that Donald Trump reached out with a call to Mike Pence, offered him the slot. Pence accepted, went to New York to participate in this press conference, but then Donald Trump said out of sort of solemnity surrounding that attack that today would not be the day for a press conference. Instead, that'll probably happen tomorrow. We'll probably hear from Donald Trump via Twitter today to announce that Mike Pence is the guy, especially since Pence will have to confirm it essentially by dropping out of the Indiana's governor's race. That deadline for him to do so is noon today. So that's going to happen regardless of any press conference.
Interesting. All right. So since it's been floated, since it's sort of announced, what's been the reaction of Mike Pence joining the ticket?
I think a lot of conservatives are very heartened to hear this. A lot of people on the right view Donald Trump with a little bit of skepticism, right? Especially when it came to social issues. Mike Pence is not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is at times in his career has been pro-choice. He's reached out even during this campaign to the LGBT community. Mike Pence is somebody who has signed religious freedom bills that many viewed as discriminatory. He has been very, very much a pro-life governor and congressman, for that matter, in Washington. He was part of the GOP leadership back in the aughts. And so I think a lot of people who might have worried about Donald Trump's conservative credentials might have a little bit of optimism now with Mike Pence.
Also, Brad Melke, he was a radio talk show host, so that's good news for the rest of us, is it not? Brad, we leave you?
Yeah, he'll have someone in common with us.
Right, yeah, exactly. All right, so did I hear Ann Coulter wasn't happy with the pick of Mike Pence? She had some issues with him. That's the one I saw who was upset with the choice.
Well, I actually didn't see Ann Coulter's response, but I do know that there are a lot of people, especially people who are fans of Donald Trump, who would have really liked to see Newt Gingrich, right? At these rallies where Trump was appearing with all of his different auditionees, as it were, Newt Gingrich got by far the best response from Trump fans, right? Those were the people chanting Newt. They were clamoring to get a handshake or an autograph from him just as much as Donald Trump at some of these events. Mike Pence flies a little bit more under the radar, and as you just heard there on Newt Gingrich's Facebook Live that he did yesterday, he considers Mike Pence the more, stable, normal person between the two of them, but a lot of people like Ann Coulter perhaps would have rather seen a Gingrich pick.
Yeah, and Gingrich has been awful boisterous over the last couple of days. It seems like he's been emboldened or something's got into him the last couple of days.
I think he decided the way that he was going to make a mark on this was by not being the soft-spoken conservative, right? It was going to be using the bluster that got Donald Trump to where he is now. And we got Newt Gingrich to the top of the polls briefly during his presidential run 4 years ago. And even after the Nice attacks, as Donald Trump went relatively quiet, you had Newt Gingrich saying that all Muslims in the U.S. should basically have a deportation test. If you believe in Sharia law, you should be deported. If you don't believe in Sharia law, you can stay. So Newt Gingrich certainly making himself relevant, even though we know Mike Pence is the pick.
Brad Melke, how does Mike Pence help Donald Trump with the Electoral College, or does he?
Well, we know that the movement to free the delegates, as they say, some of these anti-Trump people that would like to strip him of the nomination or prevent him from getting the nomination, they were looking to install a rule that would allow delegates to ignore the votes and the primaries that we'd seen so far and just vote their conscience. Whoever you think is the best candidate, vote for that person. That is now all but dead. They were not able so far to get even a quarter of the members of the rules panel at the RNC to sign on. They still have a couple days to maybe wrangle some people, but it seems very, very unlikely. The Trump campaign says this movement has been crushed. And now, like I said, with Mike Pence being sort of a darling of conservatives, there might be even less less of a vehicle for that to get any traction, considering a few people might be placated by Pence's pick.
That is Brad Melke, ABC News correspondent. Brad, thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
6:56.